So earlier this week, as you know, I uploaded an incredibly long ReZero video for the latest episode, and despite how long that video is, I actually did not get to cover everything I wanted to talk about. It honestly, the stuff I want to talk about in this video, it kind of slipped my mind because there's just so much info jam-packed into that episode that honestly I wasn't going to probably be able to cover everything because it was just going to slip my mind. And I kind of want to dedicate this video to a few little details that obviously I did not talk about, and also I know many wanted to hear me talk about that conclusion at the end of the episode. Now, I'm going to try my very best not to get into any spoilers like I normally do. It's going to be incredibly hard, especially with that final sequence at the end of the latest episode of ReZero. But once again, though, like I said, I just want to dive into things I missed. And the first thing is the whole Ram and Garfield interaction. I think this is something that many are not going to really key in on. It's very small. It's something that isn't really shown a whole lot throughout the latest episode, but it definitely shows that there is some form of connection between Garfield and Ram when it comes to their personalities and characters. So let's talk about that. So when you see Garfield's introduction, as I said in my, review of the episode, I talked about how he was definitely someone very straightforward. He, had action before thinking. He was someone that was he would go out there and get things done. He doesn't really think too hard when you really look at the introduction of his character. That's the general first impressions you get. And he's a really, I guess, energetic character, a lot of life to him, and obviously he is a demi-human. Now, despite this personality, and eventually he finds out that Amelia is there to take the trials and force Amelia to take the trials, etc., we come to find out that there is some certain elements to him to where he doesn't really want to upset Ram. You can see that there is some form of, connection between the two characters, which hints at maybe a deeper bond between the two, and it makes you wonder what's exactly going on there. Is, Ram and Garfield, are they a pair, or are they crushing on each other? Is Garfield crushing on her? There's so many questions you could wonder about, but it is definitely a little detail that definitely I wish I would have pointed out. It's very minor, nothing really crazy, but it's definitely a little detail that was, shown in the latest episode, and I feel like many are gonna not really notice it just because of everything that happened. But speaking of which, let's get into something a little bit more important, and that is Ram's reaction to Subaru wanting to talk about Rem. Now, we know, thanks to the first episode of, Season 2, Rem is gone, and the world has been altered in such a way to where it's trying to literally delete her. Like, she's been deleted. Anything that belonged to Rem is gone. Like, every belonging in her room is gone. Any memories of her is gone. Just literally reality has distorted and altered in such a way to really make it to where she has never existed at all. And so, seeing Subaru trying to talk to Ram in the latest episode is definitely emotional, because if this would have been like, Season 1 and Ram knew about Rem, instantly she would have asked about her sister, how has Rem been, etc. She would have not have shown too much concern, but she still would have shown, like, where is she, etc. And, Subaru would have pitched in if she was still around. But seeing Ram not show any, indication of wondering about where her sister's at, it really does make you just feel that hole in your chest. You're like, she really is gone. And Subaru's reaction really is telling. It really just says enough on it. Honestly, you could just see how, I guess, he's upset. He feels very, I guess, self-conscious about the situation. Just realizes that if someone like Ram can forget about Rem, really, she's gone completely from this world. And you just gotta imagine, because, Subaru is the only one that knows about her, and you would think that Ram should know, but she doesn't, especially everything that's happened between the two characters. We know about Ram and Rem's relationship. We know how there was jealousy between Rem and Ram, and just seeing how she's completely forgotten about that, the reason why, Ram is like she is, why she is not a good cook, why she isn't good at housekeeping, etc. Just all these little things, obviously it's thanks to Rem, and you gotta imagine the awkward situation between the two characters, and you gotta wonder how Subaru's really gonna tackle this. How is he gonna really talk to someone like Ram about this situation? It's just not something you could just say. And even then, if Subaru was to talk to, Ram about this, which eventually he will have to, how is she going to react? Is she going to really have that bond with her sister or not? It makes you wonder, honestly, because, even though you find out someone is your sister, that emotional connection, that bond, it's honestly, is it really still there? It makes you wonder, are you really still in love or care about that person as much as you once did because of just forgetting everything about it? But it doesn't just stop there as well. It also makes you wonder what has happened in history, at least in Ram's perspective, because we gotta remember, she has one horn, because she was born as a twin. You know, Ram and Rem were twins, and that's why she was born with one horn, and then she, you know, lost her horn thanks to the witch's cult of it. You know, we know Rem was very happy when her sister lost the horn, but she felt ugly and upset with herself because of what she did, or the emotion she felt in that moment. It does make you wonder exactly how is that story now? Like, what happened in the past? Obviously, Ram still has no horn, so what happened? Why did she lose her horn? Because we know the reason why she lost her horn was to protect her sister. But now that her sister's not even there and is completely gone from reality, technically, why did Ram lose her horn? What is the story now she tells to people? Like, does she say that she got in a fight, she saved the village almost, and then she lost her horn? Or did she just get sneak attacked? Did she lose her horn? You know, also, what happened to the whole origin story of the twins? Because technically, she was born with, you know, one horn, but since Rem is gone, what does that mean now? Like, did she have two horns, or did she believe she had two horns when she was born, when she lost them both at the same time? You know, it really makes you think about the origin story of Ram quite a bit, because it's just like, okay, so now that Rem is gone, she no longer believes she's a twin, so technically she should have two horns, but on top of that, you know, how did she lose her horn? Because she lost her horn protecting her sister. So, yeah, it really just shows how reality is so changed now. There's just so many things you can look back on now and think about, like, how is this different? What's different about this? You know, technically, how was that conversation between Ram and Subaru in the past as well, when Subaru was telling stories to Ram about the blue and red Ani? You know, I wonder exactly how Ram feels about that now. Like, what is her emotional connection to that? You know, did she feel upset about it, or did she, you know, how does she feel about that story now, knowing that technically, you know, Rem doesn't exist? There's so many things to look at. Now, besides that, let's talk about Patra. Now, Patra is the ground dragon, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right, that jumped in to save Subaru in the latest episode, and truthfully, I've always been a big fan of her, ever since what she did in Season 1, when I first witnessed it before I read the web novel and partially parts of the light novel. I was always a fan when she kind of dived in and protected Subaru from the explosive blast at the end of Season 1, and this episode really kind of shows you a little bit more about her personality, how she truly does care about Subaru and wants to protect him. Like, as soon as Subaru was in danger and all that, she dashed over to kind of help him out and protect him against Garfield, and she even charged Garfield, and she obviously knew that Garfield was incredibly strong. You know, animals kind of have that instinct, but she did it regardless to protect Subaru, and she did get slightly injured because of it, but it's just like, it shows what type of, you know, ground dragon Subaru currently has, that she literally would die for him and protect him. She cares about him, and this is supposed to be a very prideful ground dragon. We found out about this, and just seeing how she's interacting with Subaru, it's just like, for her being so prideful, she really does take pride also in Subaru too, to try to protect him. So it's like, it shows a little bit insight as well about her. I don't know how many will actually care about that little scene, but it's definitely a scene that stood out to me, and I'm glad was actually added in full glory in the latest episode. But okay, with all of that out of the way, I guess let's talk about the ending sequence. Now, I can't talk about a whole lot, but I will, however, say this. It is definitely rare to see an isekai series take us back to the past. And what I mean by that is our main male or female character of whatever story of these type of series going to communicate with their family, their parents, for instance, father and mother. It's not something you see. Now, obviously, there is some series that have probably done this that I am completely unaware of, but at the very least, in most stories, this is something that is never done. At least never dived into in a proper way. It's never expanded upon. It's not. And in this case, seeing Subaru interacting with his father, it makes you wonder, like, how is he going to react to this? Because obviously even though it hasn't been like years since he's seen them, it probably feels like years because of just everything that's happened in his life recently. And, you know, how is he going to be able to interact with them? You know, can he actually talk about them or talk to them about return by death, or is he still not allowed to do that even if he's in another world? You know, there is a lot of questions, but him being able to communicate with his family gives a lot of insight that a lot of MCs of stories don't really get to actually have, because now we get to see how he was before he was in a fantasy world. What type of person was he? What type of life did he live? Did he have regrets? Did he have a lot of joy? What did he really leave behind? And does he want to go back to be able to be in that world once again? There's so many questions, because honestly, when it comes to this type of series, like in Isekai, you have to where a main male or female character normally doesn't return back to their old world. It's kind of like they've literally moved on, and they'll never be able to return, but there is sometimes where you wonder if they could go back, would they? And most of the time they choose not to, because the fantasy world is just so different, so vibrant. Like, would you really want to go back to just a normal average life? But in this case, it makes you wonder, would Subaru want to go back? Because after everything he's been through, everything that's happened within his life, all the pain, all the suffering, return by death, everything, would he necessarily want to stay in that world, or would he take it in a heartbeat to go back to what he once had? So much to wonder about, and I just think it's a nice way to kind of settle us in for probably a very emotional episode this upcoming week, and I will definitely say it's going to probably be very emotional depending on how it's done. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's animated, and honestly, I can't talk about it because I feel like I'll get into spoiler territory. I just think that this is a very unique moment for ReZero because it's not something anyone would probably expect from this series, but obviously we're getting into it. And knowing typical ReZero fashion, usually there is a lot of psychological, so it makes you wonder how psychological is this backstory probably going to be. But okay, I'll leave it at that though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And once again, I'm sorry if you guys don't care about this type of video. I really wanted to talk about it because there was just so much I didn't talk about in my video, but the video was already getting long enough, so here I am with this video. But okay, be safe guys, stay healthy, Chibi out.